Priscilla's in the kitchen, she's mixing drinks. She's mixing one for me, I think, and one for Mary Ellen and one for Jane. Priscilla, she knows how to use a shaker.
Hey guys, it's Steph Davis here from flipthiswholesaler.net, and I am here tonight to bring you a reader mail video. It's been a while, but I have another reader mail question for you guys. This one was actually a comment that was posted on my blog a couple of days ago. And actually I had someone else who asked me a question similar to this just recently, so I thought I would answer it on video for you guys. So this question comes from Roberta, and Roberta writes, "Hi Steph, I am interested in putting a property under contract and trying to assign it. It is a wholesale property for sale by a private owner. The price is already low at $19,900 with recent comps at $50,000 and $60,000. Needs paint, stove, and minor repairs. Approximate cost $800. The after repaired value is $40,000, and two recent sales of $50,000 and $60,000. I have a few questions. Number one, would you recommend I offer the price being asked or something lower? And then number two, do you think assigning for a fee of $10,000 would be too greedy? And if not, would you recommend buying under a land trust for anonymity?" Okay, so I'll start with your first question, which is, would you recommend I offer the price being asked, which is $19,900, or something lower? And my answer to that would be, I have no idea because I don't know your market. I don't know what market you're in. If you were in Tampa maybe and you told me the neighborhood, I could probably tell you whether that would be a good deal or not, but you know, it's going to depend on what market you're in, and it's going to depend on what the buyers in your market are paying for properties, similar properties in that neighborhood. So what I do, you gave me some recent retail comps of 50 and 60. I personally, this is just the way I go about doing things when I'm deciding on what to offer. I don't really pay attention to the retail comps. I pay attention to the really low comps or the investor comps, and that's kind of how I figure out what to offer. That's one of the ways that I decide what to offer. So I would want to go in, if I were you, this is what I would do, is go into that same area and pull some recent sales over the last 30 to 60 days and look to see what the investors are paying for properties in that area. So you're going to want to look at the low comps and then try and find some that are similar to this house that you're looking at. Like say if it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath frame house, I would want to look for properties similar to yours in similar condition to try and get an idea of what investors are paying for those type of properties. And then that'll give you an idea of where your offer should be. The other thing that I do, like if I was just going into a new area and I had no clue you know, what to offer, I would do what I just said first of all and check out what the investors were paying, look at the comps. The second thing I would do is try and locate at least one or two active buyers within that area. So I would, you know, drive through the neighborhood, call some for rent signs. If I saw any rehabs going around or going on while I was driving around, maybe stop and talk to those people if it's an investor, and then ask them, you know, what type of deals they're looking for in that neighborhood, what type of price points they're willing to pay. So that's what I would do to figure out where I should be, where my numbers should be. I know a lot of people will look at the retail comps, like you said, you know, there were those two comps at 50 and 60. I personally have never done it that way. I've never used a formula and done like a percentage of the retail value minus repair. So I don't really, I can't really give you advice on how to do it that way. I think it's just easier to find some buyers and find out what they would be willing to pay for a similar property. So to give you a specific answer to your question, I don't really know if 19.9 is a good price for that. That's kind of, you need to do your homework and find that out on your own. And those are some ways that you can get a better idea of what to offer. All right, so let's move on to the second part of Roberta's question, which is, do you think assigning for a fee of $10,000 would be too greedy? And if not, would you recommend buying under a land trust for anonymity? So do I think $10,000 adding that on as an assignment fee would be too greedy? Again, that really just depends on what the active investors are, or the active buyers are willing to pay for properties in that area. You know, if you can add $10,000 onto this deal and have it still be an attractive deal to your end buyers, then heck yeah, add $10,000 onto it. But you know, you say you're going to get it under contract for $19,900, then you're going to add $10,000 assignment fee onto it. So now you're going to be selling it to your end buyer for close to $30,000, and you said that the property was worth 40. So you're selling it to them for 30. The property is worth 40. Is there going to be enough profit in that deal for it to still be attractive to your end buyer? I don't know the answer to that. Again, that's your job to do your homework to find out. You might find out after talking to some active buyers in that area and doing some research that for a similar property, they would only be willing to pay, say, $25,000. So you'd have to lower your assignment fee to, you know, $5,000. If you try and add $10,000 onto it, you're probably not going to get a buyer for it. It just depends. You need to do your research and find out, you know, first of all, how much. It might not even be a deal at $19,900. You might need to get it lower than that. So you need to find out, you know, what price you'd need to get it under contract for it to, you know, there's still to be enough room for you to add your fee on, and then how much of a fee you can add on is going to depend on what your end buyers are willing to pay. And then the last part of your question here is, would you recommend buying under a land trust for anonymity? Now, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. If you're concerned with this transaction showing up in the tax records or on public record, and you don't want people to see how much you made on the deal, at least where I'm at, you don't have to worry about that if you're signing contracts, because those don't show up in the public record. They don't show up in the tax records. If you're concerned about your buyer seeing how much you're going to make on the deal, like if you're afraid that once they see that you're making $10,000 that they won't close on the deal, they will see that. If you're assigning the contract, when they go to sign that assignment agreement, it's going to say right on there how much you're assigning the contract for. So if you're concerned about that, what you can do is, instead of assigning the contract, you could do a double closing instead, where you would actually be closing on the property yourself and then immediately reselling it to your end buyer. And that way they won't know up front how much you're making. If you do that, though, you're going to incur an extra set of closing costs. And then also, if you don't have the cash to actually close on it yourself, you're going to have to pay money to borrow the funds. Like you can get one-day funding, transactional funding. That's going to cost you extra money. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you're afraid that your buyer is going to maybe back out of the deal if they find out that you're making a large assignment fee and you decide that you want to do a double closing instead, it is going to cost you some extra cash. So that's just something to keep in mind. Alrighty, Roberta, I hope that answered all of your questions. If you need me to clarify anything, or if anyone else has any questions about this video, or if you want to add something to what I said, feel free to leave a comment below, and I will be happy to answer any questions for you. So I'll see you guys next time. Have a good weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.